So you may have heard this before, but how exactly do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. Now I know that's gruesome, and I'm not thinking of eating elephants, but the same principle applies when it comes to writing your books, except 1,000 words at a time is a much better solution for that. And that's what we're going to be discussing in today's video. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. So when it comes to getting your book up and going, the most important thing you can do when you're writing your book is to make sure that you have a steady rhythm of your writing practice. So I always talk about the 3 phases, 3 things you should always be doing when it comes to your self-publishing business. One of them is writing or putting together your newest book. The other is the marketing side. And then the final side is learning at new things, continuing to sharpen the saw, as Covey pointed out, right? In one of the 7 highly habits. And so the absolute most important thing you can do when you don't even have a book, well, it's to write that book. And what best way to do it is to actually be sitting in your chair, as they say, butt in chair, right? Where you're sitting down and you're able to slowly make sure that each day you're pumping out that many words. And so a couple of things that I found that especially are helpful with this is, the first one is choosing a time to write each day. If you're a morning person, then the morning is by far the best time of the day to do it. But if you say, I'm an evening person, or whatever else you might say about that, and you find that the day goes by and you don't get it done, then it's much more productive if you just choose a time and just do it and you force yourself. Some people have even asked the question, well, wait, I'm not inspired. I don't feel the inspiration, right? And so I think, I forgot who it was. Let me know below in the comments if you can remember it. It was one of the famous authors who asked, well, when do you write? They say, well, I only write when I'm inspired, and I'm inspired every morning at 8 a.m. And you'd be like, well, how's that possible, right? Well, the answer is they're just sitting down and they're forcing themselves to get into the practice. And when we're writing stuff, we can rewrite if we need to. We can fix stuff when we get to the editing phase. But if you're not writing and waiting for you to have a bunch of energy, we're just never going to get this book finished. And that's the reason why 1,000 words is a really useful figure. You can, of course, increase that or decrease that, but I would probably be very careful about going too high or allowing yourself to go too low. But if you find you're making no progress and you can't get the 1,000 in, then go to 500, go to 250, go to 1 sentence, for goodness sakes. Whatever it takes to start moving the ball forward on your self-publishing business. And really, the first starting point is we need a book to work with. This brings in number 2. We're going to use a timer. One of the things I like to do is sometimes is the Pomodoro method, where you have like 20 minutes on, and then you're going to have like a 5-minute break, and then a 20 minutes on and a 5-minute break, so that you're taking these breaks that you need as you're trying to get your 1,000 words done. What you'll usually find is that as you start to do this every day and build in the habit, you're then going to be able to get the 1,000 words without that much effort. And that's really where we want to take this whole thing. We do not want to have to be in a situation where everything is so painful all the time, and no matter how hard and how much work we do, we just are unable to get that 1,000 out. Rather, as you keep doing it, you're going to get better at it, like any skill that you're developing, right? The third thing you're going to want to do is only focus on one book at a time. I can't tell you how many clients I have where I'm talking with them. We're doing a discovery session for free, which you can check out below in the comments. And as we're going through our discovery session, we're looking at where they're at, which is one of the key points. And they'll say, okay, so I'm working on 5 books, and they're sort of working a little bit on this one and a little bit on that one. I'm like, how many books do you have on the market? And if the answer to that is, I don't have any books on the market because I need to make sure these books are perfect, but I just don't feel like editing or fixing them or formatting them, so I'm just going to move on to the next book and start partially writing it, then you're making a huge mistake, because you should start at the beginning and go all the way through until you finish that book, and then you can start your next book. And the reason is because we're going to be building an audience. When do you want to start building the audience? When do you want to plant a tree? Well, 20 years ago would have been the best time to plant a tree. And when are you going to start an audience? Well, 20 years ago again would be fantastic time. But if you're not going to do it then do it now. And here's a question. If you're working on your 5th book and your first book is not yet on the market, well, then how are you building readers? If you have this idea in your mind that you're going to take your book and just put it onto the market, and then everyone's going to start purchasing it, so you don't need to find readers in advance, you're clearly mistaken, because in reality, you're going to want to have some sort of a lead magnet to get their email addresses at the beginning. They're going to help you build, they're going to help tell other people about your book. You're going to be able to stay in touch with them so you can let them know when you come out with a new book, and they're also going to be able to help you when it comes to getting reviews on your book, which is one of the absolute most important things. If you don't have reviews, that's really where we want to put a lot of the focus on your books, which is such an important point when we're trying to get these things onto the market and selling. But you'll see these all tie back together with getting that very first book on the market. And some people, I even had a question yesterday, it was exactly about this issue, which was when you're going about getting that book on the market, they were like, well, I don't want to put it on the market until it's absolutely perfect, right? Because it's going to be my centerpiece for my entire business, and it's going to keep coming back to that. And my answer is you should still get it on the market quickly. Just get it onto the market, and then at that point you can go back later and fix it, or you may change your model completely. Moving forward and taking action is the key to winning the self-publishing game. This is something that so many authors fail to understand. It's that we want to keep on moving forward. When I first started my very first book, I found that I didn't have a budget of time. I just wrote when I felt like writing. And what exactly was the end result? Well, the end result was a book that took forever initially to get it going until I implemented the 1,000-word rule. So every day you just start off, write 1,000 words, and then we write the next 1,000, and we write the next 1,000. You can do an outline, or you can just try to just pound it out and then fix it later. I like personally to have an outline, at least when it comes to nonfiction books. I know some people I know like are pantsers, right? You do it by the seat of your pants where you're writing, and you're just pounding the whole thing out, and then you fix it later. I find it easier if you have a little bit of structure, and then we're just going as fast as we can as we're writing the book, and then we go back and we can fix it and have different references and citations and footnotes and these sorts of things that you're definitely going to want to have, especially in a non-fiction book, to establish where exactly your sources are for the book as you're getting it out there, which is very important to do. But I would definitely suggest just write the 1,000 words. Even if you feel your 1,000 words that you're writing are no good at all and nobody's going to like it, well, we're going to fix this as we go. And the more practice you get, the better you're going to be. If you want to learn how to play tennis, I would suggest getting on the court, ideally having a coach, but if you don't have that, then at least hitting the ball back and forth. And that's one of the things that, with regards to getting your writing going, that's one of the things I do with my one-on-one program clients, where we are able to go back and forth on a regular basis discussing where we're at, what we want to accomplish, and what exactly is the next step to getting there, and then doing daily updates. It really helps strengthen the overall flow of what exactly you're accomplishing here with your books when it comes to self-publishing. And you're just not going to succeed if you are not making regular daily progress on your books. And that's the reason why I highly recommend doing 1,000 words a day. My question for you is, have you adopted this method? And if so, how many words a day have you chosen to go to write? And check above me here for more video answers to your self-publishing questions. Thanks.